Done. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something. You are not average. You are not ordinary. You are not just another face in the crowd. Done. You are a daughter of the King, and it's time you start walking like it. Now, I don't mean just how you move. I'm talking about how you carry yourself. Done. How you see yourself and how you let the world know exactly who you are without ever having to raise your voice. Royalty doesn't chase attention. Royalty commands respect not with arrogance, but with presence, a quiet strength, a divine confidence. You know what I'm talking about? See, done. Somewhere along the line, the world tried to convince you to shrink, to doubt, to settle. But you were never built to beg for worth. You were born with it. When a daughter of the King walks into a room, she doesn't need to announce herself. Her light speaks before she does. Her purpose shows before she explains. And her steps, every single one of them carries weight, carries legacy, carries destiny. Done. And yeah, the world's going to test you. It's going to try to break you. Tell you you're too much or not enough. But you look them in the eye, not with pride, but with power, and you say, I know who I am. Because when you know your royalty, done. You stop entertaining fools like you're a jester in their court. You stop apologizing for being called to greater. You stop compromising your value to be accepted by people who couldn't carry your crown if they tried. Listen to me, queens don't chase. They build. Done, they rise. They reign. So stop walking like you're lost. Stop living like you were meant to survive. You were born to thrive. You got a legacy to protect. Done. A standard to uphold. And a crown that doesn't come off just because life gets heavy. You were born with value. That's not something the world gives you. It's not earned by accolades, applause, or approval. It's not something someone else can validate or deny. Done. Before you even took your first breath, worth was stitched into your soul. You are the evidence of intention, not an accident, not an afterthought. Done. From the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, you were designed with purpose, by purpose, for purpose, and that alone makes you worthy. Done. But somewhere between the truth of who you are and the noise of this world, something gets lost. Done. You start measuring your value by things that were never meant to define you. Likes on a screen. Words from people who don't see your heart. Opportunities you were denied. Relationships that didn't last. Rejections that tried to write your story in permanent ink. And so slowly, bit by bit, you start forgetting. You forget that royalty doesn't beg. That gold doesn't argue its value. That the sun never apologizes for shining. See, done. The world is loud, and it will keep trying to convince you that you're not enough. Not pretty enough, not smart enough, not strong enough. Done. Not lovable enough. But the truth is, the world doesn't get to decide what enough looks like for you. Done. Because your value isn't rooted in their standards, it's rooted in your identity. And your identity, it's royal, it's divine, it's unshakable. Done. That means you don't have to perform to be accepted. You don't have to compromise to belong. Done. You don't have to prove yourself to people who can't even see you clearly. You just have to remember who you are. Remember what you carry. Done. Remember whose you are. That knowing that inner certainty is what sets you apart. There's a reason you've always felt a little different. Done. A little too much for some people. A little too driven, too passionate, too sensitive, too bold. That's not a flaw. That's not something to fix. Done. That's your identity trying to break through the lies you were taught. Done. That's your crown calling you back to the throne you never should have stepped away from. When you walk into a room, done, you bring something with you, a light, a presence, an energy that can't be duplicated. But if you don't know your own worth, done, you'll start dimming that light to make others comfortable. You'll start hiding your voice to avoid being misunderstood. Done. You'll play small when you were built to take up space. And all the while, the world misses out on the very thing you were created to bring. Done. You've been conditioned to think value is transactional, that you have to do more, be more, give more just to be worthy of love, attention, done, or opportunity. But that's a lie. Your worth is not on the line. It's not up for debate. Done. It doesn't go up when you're praised or down when you're criticized. It is fixed. It is firm. It is final. Even in your mess, even in your pain, even when you feel lost or broken or unsure, your value doesn't vanish. If anything, it becomes more evident because the pressure you're under, it's not there to destroy you. It's there to reveal the diamond that's always been beneath the surface. And that diamond, that rare, resilient, radiant soul is you. Done. The most dangerous thing you can do is forget what you're worth. Because when you forget, you settle. You tolerate less. Done. You accept crumbs when you were meant to feast. You give away pieces of yourself, hoping someone will tell you what you should have known all along. Done, that you are enough. So many people walk around carrying the weight of unworthiness, dragging the chains of comparison, perfectionism, and shame. Done. But not you. But not you. Not anymore. You weren't made to carry that. You were made to rise, to walk with your head held high and your spirit grounded in truth. And that truth says you are valuable not because of what you do, but because of who you are. Carry yourself with quiet strength and divine confidence. That doesn't mean being loud. It doesn't mean being the most visible in the room or the one with the sharpest tongue. Done. Real power doesn't need to scream to be heard. Real power is still. It's steady. Done. It's the kind of presence that shifts the atmosphere without saying a word. When you know who you are, you don't need to convince anyone else. Done. Your presence alone becomes a declaration. Quiet strength is about restraint. It's about knowing you could clap back, but choosing not to. Done. It's knowing you could fight to be seen, but instead choosing to stand in your truth and let that speak for itself. Done. It's the confidence that comes from having already wrestled with your insecurities in private and winning. Done. It's not the absence of fear. It's the courage to keep moving in spite of it. That's what makes it divine, because it's not manufactured. Done. It's not puffed up. It comes from a deeper place. There's a difference between worldly confidence and divine confidence. Done. Worldly confidence depends on appearance, applause, and achievement. Divine confidence is rooted in identity, purpose, and calling. One is temporary. Done. The other is eternal. When you carry divine confidence, you stop being tossed around by the opinions of others. Their praise doesn't inflate you. Done. And their criticism doesn't shatter you. You walk steady because you know where you're going and who sent you. The world teaches women especially to apologize for their strength, to soften, to shrink, to second guess. But quiet strength isn't about making others comfortable. It's about being unapologetically grounded. You can be kind and assertive. You can be soft and powerful. You can be humble and still command the room. That tension, that balance, is where the real magic lies. People may underestimate you because you're not loud. Done. Because you don't announce your every move. Let them. Let them misread your silence. Let them think you're passive. Meanwhile, you're building, praying, growing, preparing. Your strength isn't always on display, but it's always present. And when the time comes, you'll speak and they'll listen. Not because you demanded it, but because you earned it through presence, discipline, and grace. Carrying yourself with quiet strength also means you don't need to compete. You're not threatened by someone else's beauty, brilliance, or blessing. You know there's room for everyone to rise, and you're secure in your lane. You clap for others without losing your own rhythm. That's confidence. Done. That's maturity. That's what sets you apart. You don't chase opportunities. You prepare for them. You don't beg for respect. You embody it. Done. And when you walk in divine confidence, you stop living from a place of lack. You stop acting like you have to earn your place at the table. You bring your own chair, or better yet, you build your own table. Not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. You know what's inside of you. Done. You've been through too much, overcome too much, grown too much to forget what you carry. Done. Divine confidence also means knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. Not every battle is yours. Not every invitation is divine. Done. Not every platform is meant for your feet. Quiet strength allows you to discern, to wait, to trust the process. It allows you to stay in your lane, focused, undistracted by the noise. You don't have to prove yourself when you're already positioned by grace. Done. People will feel your presence before they hear your words. That's the weight of someone walking in their divine confidence. Done. You don't shrink in the face of challenge. You rise with calm resolve. You don't flinch at rejection. You see it as redirection. Done. You don't need constant reassurance. You've already been affirmed by something greater than man. There's a stillness that comes with divine confidence, a peace. You're not rushing, not chasing, not grasping. You're aligned. You're moving from a place of clarity. Your yes means something. Your no is respected. You don't seek validation from the outside because everything you need is already within. That's what makes you unshakable. That's what makes you powerful. That's what makes you different. Don't shrink to fit, rise to reign. That statement is more than motivation. It's a call to action. Done. A reminder that you were never created to play small for the comfort of others. You were never meant to dilute yourself just to be accepted. Done. To be quiet when you were born to speak, to hide your brilliance so that others wouldn't feel insecure. Yet time and time again, you've been taught to fold yourself into boxes that were never meant to hold your fullness. You've been asked to adjust your volume, your dreams, your light, all in the name not being too much. But let's be clear, shrinking doesn't protect you. It only disconnects you from who you truly are. Every time you hold back, you chip away at the power you carry. Every time you question whether you're worthy of the space you're in, you silence a voice that was meant to shift atmospheres. The world doesn't benefit from a watered-down version of you. What it needs is your full self, bold, unfiltered whole. There's a difference between humility and self-erasure. Humility is knowing your strength and not needing to boast about it. Self-erasure is pretending that strength doesn't exist. You weren't given your gifts, your fire, your insight just to blend in. You were entrusted with those things to lead, to impact, to reign. And reigning doesn't always mean sitting on a throne with a crown. Sometimes it means taking ownership of your life with unwavering authority. It means walking into a room and not needing permission to be exactly who you are. You've tried shrinking before, haven't you? Tried to make yourself smaller so you wouldn't outshine someone else. Tried to settle for less because you were afraid of being labeled difficult, intimidating, or ungrateful. You've said yes when you wanted to say no. You've hidden your intelligence so you wouldn't make someone uncomfortable. And every time you did, you felt that H, that inner pull, that voice whispering, this isn't who you are. That voice was right. When you shrink, you betray your purpose. And purpose doesn't make room for pretense. Purpose demands presence, full presence. It requires you to rise even when it's uncomfortable, even when people don't understand, even when you have to walk alone for a while. Rising means refusing to let your past define your posture. Done. It means showing up in rooms where no one looks like you and refusing to dim your identity just to blend in. It means being so routed in who you are that you no longer ask for permission to exist. Reigning isn't about dominance. It's about alignment. When you rise, you align with who you've always been. You stop living out of reaction and start living with intention. You speak with authority, not because you need to be heard, but because what you carry needs to be released. You show up fully, knowing that shrinking doesn't serve your future, it only delays your destiny. So many people walk around wearing masks, adjusting themselves to meet the expectations of the moment. But masks are heavy, and eventually they crack. What if you stopped performing? What if you trusted that your true self was more than enough? What if you believed that the world didn't need another imitation, it needed your authenticity? To rise is to own every part of your journey, the wins, the wounds, the lessons, the light. It means honoring your process and trusting that even your struggles are part of the reign you're stepping into. No queen ever rose without resistance. No leader ever emerged without opposition. But the difference is, she didn't shrink back when things got hard. She didn't wait for the world to catch up to her truth. She stood in it anyway. Your rise might make some people uncomfortable. Your confidence might challenge their insecurity. Your growth might remind them of their own stagnation. That's not your burden to carry. You weren't created to fit into the mold. You were created to break it, to redefine what's possible, to walk in power, not apology. Done. You have permission to take up space. You have authority to speak truth. You have the right to walk in fullness. Done. Stop asking the world to prove what God already confirmed. Stop shrinking for people who were never meant to understand your light. Stand tall, even when your voice trembles. Move forward, even when the path is unclear. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your rise. Stop apologizing for your greatness. You don't need to explain the way you shine, the way you lead, the way you naturally attract attention when you walk into a room. That's not arrogance, it's presence. It's the result of knowing who you are and what you carry and refusing to play small just to make other people feel secure. Somewhere along the way, right, you were taught to be careful with your confidence. You were told to tone it down, to be humble, to not come across as too ambitious or too loud. But there's a difference between humility and self-denial. And dimming your light isn't humility, it's fear dressed up in false modesty. You are allowed to be proud of who you are. You are allowed to take ownership of your wins, your wisdom, your growth. Greatness isn't something you stumbled into by accident. It's something that's been cultivated, fought for, built in the quiet places where no one was clapping for you. So why whisper now that it's here? Why downplay the results of your dedication, your faith, your persistence? Apologizing for your greatness never serves the people who are actually assigned to you. It only empowers the insecurities of those who were never meant to walk with you in the first place. When you constantly say, I'm sorry for being excellent, for dreaming big, for succeeding, you send a message to the next woman watching you, telling her that confidence must come with a disclaimer. That's not leadership. That's survival. Done. And you weren't built just to survive. You were never meant to shrink to make others comfortable. And the moment you start apologizing for the very things that make you extraordinary, you disconnect from your purpose. You begin to second guess yourself. You begin to hesitate in rooms where you were supposed to speak boldly. You start looking for approval in places that can't give it to you. Done. And all of that creates distance between you and the impact you were born to make. Own your excellence. Own your voice. Own your vision. If someone feels threatened by your strength, that's their work to do, not yours. You don't need to soften who you are to be lovable. You don't need to hide your intelligence to be relatable. You don't need to question your calling just because it doesn't look like someone else's. You are not a threat, you are a standard. And people who understand their own worth won't feel diminished by yours. There will always be someone who misunderstands your confidence for conceit. Let them. You don't owe them an explanation. There will be people who feel the need to challenge your authority, your position. Your voice, especially if you walk into spaces that weren't designed with you in mind, walk in anyway. Don't flinch. Don't apologize. You belong, not because someone said you could, but because you know you should. You were created to rise, and rising will always come with resistance. But if you keep apologizing for who you are, you'll start negotiating with your own greatness. You'll begin to adjust your vision to meet their comfort instead of your calling. And before you know it, you'll be living someone else's version of success, not your own. Greatness requires conviction. It requires boldness. It requires that you stop looking side to side and start walking straight ahead with authority. There is nothing wrong with being confident. There is nothing wrong with being clear. There is nothing wrong with walking in a room knowing that you have something to contribute, something to build, something to lead. That energy is not arrogance, it's alignment. You didn't come this far just to pretend you're average. You came this far to set a new standard for what's possible when someone stops apologizing for being everything they were created to be. People will project their fears onto you. They'll question your motives. They'll try to make you feel guilty for wanting more. Don't internalize their projections. Don't let their small thinking limit your large vision. If they don't see it, that's fine, it wasn't meant for them. But you see it, you feel it, you know it's real. And if you know it's real, then stop apologizing for it. You have a gift, a voice, a presence that changes things. I'll move in that, live in that without regret. If your greatness makes someone uncomfortable, they're free to look away. But you're not here to hide. You're here to lead, to shine, to stretch, to grow. And none of that requires an apology. Your crown is permanent, wear it daily. It's not a seasonal accessory or something you put on only when you feel strong. It's not conditional, based on mood, success, approval, or validation. It doesn't disappear when you fail, when you're tired, or when the world forgets to clap for you. The crown is not a gift the world can give you, and it's not one it can take away. It's a mark of your identity, not your circumstances. It's a symbol of your authority, your calling, your worth. And it remains whether you feel it or not, whether others recognize it or not. Most people wait for others to acknowledge their royalty before they believe it themselves. They wait for the title, the recognition, the applause. But royalty doesn't wait for permission. It walks in assurance. You wear the crown because it's yours by birthright, not because the world voted for you. And when you start wearing it daily, when you truly embody what it represents, everything shifts the way you speak, the way you walk, the way you treat yourself and others. Wearing your crown doesn't mean acting like you're better than anyone. It means understanding that you were created with intention and that your life carries weight. It means choosing to live from a place of purpose, not panic. It means knowing you're not defined by mistakes, by losses, by seasons of doubt. You're defined by something deeper, the truth that you've been chosen, called, and set apart for something more. But life has a way of making people forget. It throws things at you that chip away at your confidence. It whispers lies that tell you're not enough, not qualified, not ready. And over time, if you're not careful, you'll start believing that maybe you're not royalty after all. Done. Maybe you're just another face in the crowd trying to get by. That's why you have to be intentional. You have to wake up and decide to wear your crown. Not when it's easy, not when everything's going right, but every single day. Some days you'll feel powerful. Some days you'll feel broken. Wear it anyway. Some days you'll walk boldly into rooms. Some days you'll barely make it out of bed. Wear it anyway, because the crown doesn't sit on perfection. It sits on purpose. And your purpose is not fragile. It doesn't disappear when life gets heavy. It grows stronger. You may not always see your crown reflected back to you in the mirror. You may not hear it echoed in the words of those around you, but it's there. And the more you own it, the more you carry yourself in alignment with it, the more your life starts to reflect it. Your standards shift. Your boundaries strengthen. Your focus sharpens, because you're no longer living for acceptance. You're living from identity. Wearing your crown means leading with grace even when you're misunderstood. It means standing tall even when your knees are shaking. Done. It means choosing dignity in a world that profits from drama and distraction. It means remembering that you are a reflection of something divine. Not flawless, but favored. Not perfect, but powerful. Not better, but chosen. There will be days when the weight of your crown feels heavy, when responsibility stretches you, when growth feels uncomfortable. That's part of reigning. You can't wear a crown and expect everything to be light. But that weight isn't there to crush you, it's there to shape you. It's building your strength, your resilience, your wisdom. It's molding you into the woman you were always meant to become. Don't hang your crown up when life gets hard. Don't put it away when you feel overlooked or underestimated. Keep it on. Let it remind you of who you are. Let it be your anchor when the world tries to shake you. Let it ground you when distractions try to pull you off course. Let it speak for you in rooms where your voice feels small. You don't have to earn your crown. You just have to remember it's already yours. Every day, remind yourself of that truth. In the silence, in the struggle, in the breakthrough, in the waiting. Your crown is not a costume. It's not pretend. It's legacy. It's calling. It's truth. Walk in rooms like you belong there because you do. Stop hesitating at the door, second-guessing your worth, rehearsing all the reasons you're not enough. The moment you step into a space with uncertainty about who you are, you give that room the power to define you. And you were never meant to be defined by people who didn't build you. You were already validated long before anyone else had an opinion. Your presence isn't an accident. It's purposeful. It's intentional. You didn't stumble into that opportunity, that platform, that seat at the table. You were positioned for it, prepared for it, appointed for it. That means you don't walk in timid, you walk in anchored. Too many people shrink when they should be standing tall. They measure themselves against what's around them and forget what's inside them. But confidence is not about being the loudest. It's not about proving something. It's about knowing something, knowing that you were sent, knowing that you're enough, knowing that you have value to add. And when you walk into a room like you belong there, you remind others how to carry themselves too. You give permission for people to be authentic, to be strong, to be secure. That kind of energy shifts atmospheres. There will be rooms where no one looks like you, sounds like you, thinks like you. That doesn't mean you're out of place. It means you're the missing piece. If you've been called to that space, then your presence is part of its growth, its healing, its elevation. Don't let the unfamiliar trick you into silence. Don't let the room's history convince you you're unqualified to speak into its future. You carry something unique, something necessary, something divinely assigned. When you walk like you belong, you stop asking for approval. Done. You stop seeking permission. You stop needing applause. You stop trying to be palatable. You realize that you bring value with your presence alone, not because of your title, not resume, but because of your essence, because of the unseen preparation, because of what you've survived, because of the wisdom born out of the dark seasons that nobody else saw. Walking like you belong doesn't mean pretending to have it all together. Done. It means knowing that even in your becoming, you still deserve to be here. Even when you're learning, you still have something to offer. Even when you're quiet, your presence still speaks volumes. That posture and pride is rootedness. It's understanding that you carry solutions, that your voice has weight, that you're not here by accident, but by divine design. People may question how you got there. If they may try to minimize your path, your process, your power, let them talk. Let them wonder. Your job isn't to explain, it's to execute, to show up fully, to operate with integrity, to lead with excellence, to serve with vision. Done. You don't owe anyone an origin story when your impact speaks louder than your history. You'll face resistance. You'll face moments of doubt. But doubt doesn't disqualify you, it sharpens you. You learn to stand anyway. You learn to speak up anyway. You learn to move forward, even if your knees are shaking. And every time you do, you reinforce to yourself and to others that you belong, that you're built for this, that your voice matters. Don't let insecurity sabotage your assignment. Don't let comparison rob you of clarity. Walk in like you know what you bring to the table. And if there is no table, build one. Or walk into the room and redefine what the table even looks like. You're not here to conform. You're here to elevate. You're here to remind the room what royalty looks like in motion: calm, focused, resilient, done, discerning. There's a difference between being in a room and owning your space in it. One is passive. The other is powerful. You don't fade into the background. You don't pretend you're lucky to be chosen. You understand that when you walk in alignment with your purpose, done. Doors open not by accident, but by assignment. You understand that your presence alone is a contribution, done. You understand that you have the authority to change the atmosphere by simply being who you are. Rooms don't make you valuable. You bring value to the room. Your presence shifts things. It breaks patterns. It opens hearts. It raises standards. Done. And every time you walk into a space like you belong, you teach others how to belong too. You remind them of what's possible when someone refuses to shrink, to apologize, to fade. You model what it means to show up rooted, ready, and unapologetically royal. So hold your head high, fix your posture, and walk in the authority that was given to you before you even knew your own name. You are a daughter of the King. Walk like